All right. I'm gonna give y'all two options real quick before we go on to the next section. There's a video that CERT has for disaster psychology that we can watch that's about 40 minutes long. Or, because that's one of the things that's in their structure of what they want you to watch. Or we can watch it, or we can do the PowerPoints. What do y'all prefer to do?
Do we need to watch the video online?
No, the video is the PowerPoints, just all fancied up
I think you can go
for 40 minutes.
The video.
PowerPoint's
Yeah.
quicker.
Cool.
You want to watch the film?
You don't
No,
want to.
I don't. I just
Don't you?
I
You
just
wanna watch
like
the
how
video,
all of
don't
us want to cut corners to get certified
Well,
here.
safety first.
Yeah.
And once again, all the PowerPoints, everything is going to be up online on Blackboard, and there's videos as well. So if you want to go back, since I know today I've kind of rushed to come in and go back and reread those before you take your test, or while you're taking your test. But even afterwards, since all that stuff's going to be online, I would urge you to continuously just kind of keep
So
up on
it'll
it.
stay out there available to us?
It'll stay up for a while, is that right, Amanda?
I'm sorry.
The PowerPoints and everything on Blackboard, they'll stay up there for a while.
The PowerPoints will always be up there. The test will close at midnight on Sunday.
Is it time?
I don't know. Say
I
what?
don't think so.
What'd you say?
The test will close at midnight on
Oh,
Sunday.
I was just talking about being able to go back and.
Oh, it'll be up there for a long time. I mean, it's set there.
Good, okay.
You can always go on the internet and find it too.
Yeah. If you go on YouTube, they have all the,
kinds of stuff.
they have everything online. Like all the videos that they have for you, they want you to watch, are all online on YouTube. Plus, there's other communities that have done these CERT classes, and they have their programs online with like people who are teaching these classes as well. So if you just get on there, type CERT, and then whatever unit is that you want to look up, you can find videos.
Everything I film is going to stay out there, so.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on to disaster psychology. What people are thinking, how they're feeling, their mindsets after they've been through a disaster, and a little bit of how you can help treat them, help them soothe their pain and their discomfort at the moment. We're going to describe a disaster and post-disaster emotional environment for the victims. What they're feeling before, after, in the middle, all that kind of goes in play of how they're going to be mentally after the disaster occurs. And we're going to talk about the steps that it takes for someone to help relieve your own stress. I mean, this is going to be a stressful situation for you as well. So we'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about disaster trauma, team well-being, and working with survivors' trauma. Pretty much everyone's well-being, mentally and physically, goes into how the psychology is after disaster. Psychological trauma, your own personal losses. What has happened here? Like, has somebody just lost their entire house? If they lost their entire family, what if they just went through and lost? Like, in a disaster, somebody loses a little bit of themselves in a situation like this. If it's not, physical, it might be emotional. What has been lost? Working in your neighborhood, you know people that live around you. A lot of people do. You know what your neighbors are like, how they normally act, things like that. So when we come to work your neighborhoods, you're going to know, hey, this person's distraught. This person is not acting themselves. Something's wrong with my friend mentally. So you'll need to know that when you're working with your neighborhoods. Assisting neighbors, friends, coworkers, and anyone else who's been injured. While you're triaging people, one of the things you're going to be looking at is their mental state okay? Are they crying a lot, not because they're injured, or it's because they are physically, emotionally shook? That's something you need to look at because mental, disabilities and mental, how their state of mind is something that needs to be helped just as much as physical injuries. And a lot of people they're not going to feel safe and secure, but you want to help make sure that they kind of gain a little bit more sense of secureness when they're at these triage centers, at these command centers. Help them feel like everything's going to be all right for at least the moment. These are going to be the symptoms of psychological trauma after the disaster occurs. They're going to be irritable and angry. I mean, a lot of people I know personally, when they've gone through something, they're mad, they're angry. They're angry at the world. Why did I just lose all this? They're going to blame themselves and they're going to blame others. No matter what the incident is, if it's out of their control, they're still going to find someone to blame for this. Some people are going to isolate themselves and withdraw themselves from public. Some people are going to go sit in a corner by themselves to gather their thoughts, or they're just not going to want to be around anybody because they're so overwhelmed. Fear of it occurring again. I know I'm from Bologna, and every time it gets stormy out there, everybody kind of freaks out because they're so scared that another tornado is going to come through that community. Especially, you're going to find this a lot in people that have been through multiple disasters, like tornadoes, for example. That's going to be the easiest one around here. People who've been through multiple tornadoes are going to be so afraid that it's going to happen again right then. I'm feeling stunned, numb, or overwhelmed. Like you've got somebody and they just lost their entire house. Everything they have owned is gone. They are going to be so overwhelmed on how to get it back, what to do next. Like their world is shattered, so they are going to feel extremely overwhelmed. They're going to feel helpless, like they don't know how to fix this. Their brain is not going to be giving logical answers on how to cope with this, so they're going to feel helpless. Look for mood swings, sadness, depression. I mean, you might have somebody who just lost their house, and you find them, and they're happy, they're fine. They physically look happy and fine because they're trying to push it back, and they're going on to help other people. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, reality might set in, and they're going to go from being happy to extremely sad, depressed, like that. No warning, just boom. Some people are going to be in denial. They're going to deny that this is even real. I mean, some people's brains are not going to comprehend that this just happened. I remember the first time I went to Bologna to help with rescue efforts. I was in denial of seeing the town I grew up in gone. You know, it took me a good 30, 40 minutes to realize, hey, this stuff really just happened. And some people, it's going to take longer for them to realize. I mean, heck, it might take weeks or months for some people to get out of that denial that they are down with. Concentration and memory problems, especially if somebody's got a head trauma. Obviously, their concentration is going to be a little bit off. But sometimes, you know, those chemicals in the brain, they're once again just so overwhelmed with everything going on. It's like almost an instant ADD. They're not going to be able to keep track of what's going on. Their brain's going a million miles an hour. They're not going to be able to remember some things that happened 5 minutes ago just because their brain is trying to process every little thing coming into it at that moment. And obviously, relationship problems and marital discord. People are going to fight. People that are in relationships, married, they're going to start, they might fight right there in front of you just because they are so stressed out and they don't know what to do. And a lot of times, you know, if any of y'all are married or in relationships, you know that sometimes you take your anger and your frustration out on the people that are closest to you, the people that you know that are nearest to you. That's going to happen. People that are married for 40 years are going to sit there and fight like dogs just because they are so overwhelmed with the situation. Some other aspects to look at: loss of appetite. They're not going to want to be able to eat. I know, like, some people, they get so stressed. I know I was really bad about it when I was in college, like getting ready for a test. I would get that anxiety. So imagine someone having to deal with, how am I going to get my house back? Like the anxiety of everything going on. They're no longer hungry. Headaches or chest pains. This can go along with a lot of physical ailments that have occurred, but also psychologically. People having panic attacks or anxiety attacks can have similar symptoms to what they might think is a heart attack. You're going to have pains in your chest, heavy breathing. It's just anxiety taking over. Diarrhea, stomach pains, or nausea. And they're going to be sick some people are going to be sick at their stomachs of what they just went through. Literally sick at their stomachs. Hyperactivity their brains, once again, they're gonna be going a million miles an hour. Increase in drug consumption. And some of this stuff right here, some of these symptoms here are not gonna be on the scene, but they could be weeks and months later that these people are dealing with PTSD from this situation. And drug consumption, alcohol consumption. They're going to be trying to kill the pain of what they just went through mentally. Nightmares. I know people that have PTSD suffer from nightmares as one of their main things that they have. These traumatic events of a disaster will cause PTSD in a lot of people. And they will have nightmares over that tornado coming through their house over and over again. Insomnia. They're not going to be able to sleep. And a lot of times that insomnia is from the fact that they know they're going to have these nightmares. And sometimes they're just so worried. Once again, we talked about people that are afraid that it's going to reoccur. Some of these people are going to be so worried that stuff's going to happen again that they're not going to go to sleep. Their brain is going to just keep functioning and thinking about it and not let them go to sleep. And once again, fatigue. They're going to be tired. Some people are going to get tired, and that can be because they're lost of appetite and they haven't eaten. They haven't taken care of themselves, and their bodies are just going to be physically worn down. Things to think about your team well-being when you're out there and you're finding people that are, mentally off because of this disaster. Actions can be taken before, during, and after an incident to help manage the emotional impact of the disaster response work. Knowing possible psychological symptoms of the disaster trauma help manage the impact. If you know what to look for, like the signs that we've just talked about, if you know what to look for, you can help with somebody's recovery process a lot better than just thinking, oh, this person's got a head trauma, or this person's just weird. They're just acting weird. Because sometimes you might think this person's just a strange person. You might know this person personally, like they're just a strange person. But you need to know, okay, this person's being a little bit more strange than normal. And is it because of what they just went through? And then you start trying to help them. Learn how to manage stress. You want to be able to control your own stress. When we talk about taking care of yourselves, your stress level is going to be something that you need to manage yourself. Stress can cause high blood pressure. It can cause all kinds of other physical problems, stomach ulcers. You want to be able to know how you can control your own personal stress. Because this is going to be a stressful situation that you're going to be in. Dealing with other people's problems is very stressful. So you got to know how you're going to deal with your stress. And if you're the CERT leaders, you're going to be dealing with a lot of stress as well. So the stress of, like we talked about, if you're the leader over all the organization, it's going to be a lot of stress, a lot of paperwork, a lot of things to keep up that you're responsible for. Can you handle the stress? How to reduce stress. Make sure you get enough sleep. Sleep is a magical thing. You take your little nap, you're stressed, you lay down, take a little nap, wake up, fine, good to go again as soon as you wake up. Exercise regularly. They say exercising is a great way to relieve stress. I do it every day. Not really. I used to.
Confession.
I used to. But things like working out, I know I do kickboxing and jiu-jitsu as good stress relievers. I mean, doing physical activities help, your body just release a lot of that inner pent-up stuff.
You're much calmer now than you used to be, because obviously wasn't.
I am a lot calmer.
You don't need that.
No, I don't.
You don't need
No,
that.
just ask.
Now I just eat all the time. Eat a balanced diet. Good, healthy nutrition helps people, relieve their stress a little bit better. Balance your work, play, and rest. These things are things to think about, not just in a stressful situation or in a disaster situation, but just in life in general. This old saying, work hard, play hard, but you need a rest too. So if you're having a hard day at work, do something to relax when you get home, if you can, if possible. Or find a day to just relax and let your body recoup. Allow yourself to receive as well as give. You know, some people aren't good at taking things. A lot of people don't give, but they're not good at, you know, letting other people give to them. But sometimes it's good to let somebody give a little bit to you. So let that happen every once in a while. Connect with others. Having communication with friends, families, loved ones, you know, having a good relationship with people is definitely a good way to help release stress. You know, someone you can talk to about problems, having good connections with others. And if you want, use spiritual resources. A lot of people turn to religious ideals to help relieve stress. Praying, you know, going to church, reading Bibles, whatever religious preference people have of their spiritual text, you know, those things can be very common for people. Once again, take care of yourself. In the CERT situations, the CERT member is number one. Be aware of the trauma that can follow a disaster. You've been out helping people. You've seen a lot of stuff. Don't think that you're not affected by things like PTSD. You could be the one out there helping and rescuing all day long. And next thing you know, 2 months from now, you're having nightmares about the things you've seen. Read up on PTSD and the symptoms of it to know if you've been affected by it. Explain to your family members and friends what you need. Find people that are going to listen when you want someone to talk to. I know a lot of people have someone, that one person that they can always talk to. But make sure you have someone in your life, in your friend group, in your family group, someone that you can go talk to help relieve the stress of the things you've seen. Don't force anybody to talk. Don't go up to somebody and say, "Tell me now what you've been through." That's going to push people away. Just don't force anyone. Let people talk when it's their time to talk. When they're ready to let you know what they've been through, they'll vent and they'll tell you. How CERT team leaders can reduce stress. Brief CERT personnel beforehand. Let people know what's going to happen, what they're going to see, what's been going on. Brief them of everything that they know up to that point. Let them know, hey, there's going to be a lot of casualties you're going to see. Let them know, hey, there's a lot of wounded. Let people know what they're about to get into. And remind people that CERT is a team. You know, you're not out there being hero number one. You're out there as a team. You've got to work as a team. If you see your team members struggling with things, your team's not going to be effective. Help your team members deal with those things. Rest and regroup. If your people are getting overstressed, overworked, well, go back to the command center, get you some rest, some water, some food, and regroup your thoughts, re-talk about your plans, and then go back out there. Take breaks away. Sometimes you got to get away from the situation. You need to get away from everything you've seen. Get out of there. All the casualties and the victims and the disaster itself is starting to weigh on you. You know, you might have to take the rest of the day off. I know you want to help sometimes, but making sure your own personal mental health, that's still taking care of you, and you need to do that. Eat properly and stay hydrated. Now, I know sometimes eating properly in situations it's not easy. But just make sure you have some type of nourishment to keep you going and staying hydrated. You don't want to dehydrate out there. You don't want to cause more problems just because you've been out there busting your butt all day and you're not keeping yourself up. Once again, you want to arrange for debriefings. You know, make sure if you think it's a good thing to have scheduled times for debriefings. That in the debriefing, you can also you're telling them what they're going to expect and what they've seen, but also ask them, hey, is everybody okay? Ask them what they're feeling. Make sure that your team members are doing okay. You want to rotate the team members' duties, the teams and the duties. If you've got a team that's been search and rescue all day, have them come back and assist at the command center for a bit, and then send a team that's been at the command center all day out to do search and rescue. or, you know, just anything. Somebody that's been doing triage all day, switch them out. Keep people rotated and keep the people fresh. And then once things have gotten under control, you want to phase out your workers gradually. You know, let people go home. But don't do it at a mass time, but just slowly let people get to go home. Critical incident stress debriefings. You're going to do introductions and descriptions, like I talked about. If you got a group of people that are there to help, that don't know each other, introduce each other. Let everybody know who they are, who they're working with. And once again, a description of everything that's going on. Review the factual material. Like, there's going to be a lot of stories going on about what's happening in a disaster. Make sure you know what the exact facts are and just the facts, and give those to your teams. Hearsay stories of things that have gone on. Don't just say that stuff, because that stuff might not be true. Sharing of internal thoughts and feelings. That's what make sure that the people that you're with, they're on the same page, that they are not emotionally affected at that moment by the disaster. Sharing of emotional reactions to the incident. Let people vent for a second in your debriefings about what's going on, if they want to. Once again, don't force anybody to vent, but if anybody is sitting in your debriefing and they need to just get a good yell out, or just need a big group hug for a second to regain their composure before they go out, let that happen. Once again, you want to review the symptoms that we talked about earlier of psychological distress with your teammates. Once again, make sure that people in your team are mentally able to continue on the process. Closing and further needs assessment. Before you get done, make sure you ask if there's anything else people need. It could be supplies, or it could be just help in general with themselves. Phases of a crisis. You've got the impact, the inventory, the rescue, and the recovery. Well, we'll go this real quick. The impact is going to be actually the set impact of what just happened. The inventory is going to be the things that might be lost. How much damage has been done physically? Like, what all has people lost? The rescue, the person's been found, they've been saved, and been brought back to a treatment area. And the recovery. The recovery is going to be the longest process of all this, because sometimes this could take months, it could take years for somebody to recover physically and mentally from a disaster. A traumatic crisis. Actual or potential death. There's going to be people that are severely injured, like we talked about. You might find people that are dying. How do you comfort them while they're dying? People with serious injuries, how to go along with them while they are injured, how to help kind of calm their mind that things, their injuries, not life-threatening, they're going to be fine. Destruction. Buildings are going to be destroyed. People's homes are going to be lost. Help people deal with the fact that things are going to be rebuilt, hopefully. And there's going to be a loss of contact with family and close friends. Like we've talked about, cell phones are probably going to be out. If they're not, they're going to be overran with too many people trying to call out. So a lot of people are not going to have connection. They're not going to know where their family are. Their family members might have been 3 blocks away, but they can't get in contact with them. They don't know where they are. They don't know if they were home or not when the incident happened. If you have a way of helping connect lost family members, try the best you can. But just don't go beyond what your ability is to do. Don't make too many promises. But just try to assure that you are going to help them. Effects of the traumatic stress. Cognitive functions. Some people's basic functions, are going to go out the window. A lot of my cognitive functions go out the window when I start talking to people. Yeah. Physical health. Is this person, were they physically healthy to begin with? Those are things that are gonna take place and that you have to think about that's gonna affect a person's mental state. You know, a lot of times, people that were very sick to begin with, and a situation happens, their mental status is not gonna be very good. And interpersonal relationships. I mean, you're gonna come up on people that you've known. If a situation happens here at campus, you're gonna come into victims that are coworkers, they're students of yours. You know, having good rapport with your students and coworkers to know what they're normally like is a good way to tell if they're acting any different in a psychological manner. Mediating factors. Prior experience with a similar event. If you yourself have been through this type of event before, you know, that's a good way. You know, doing is learning. You know, going through something, you've learned how to deal with some things. So kind of giving your experience of what you've been through sometimes will help people kind of calm down. Intensify of disruption. Intensity, sorry. Once again, talked about earlier when you're hungry and things start going out the window. I forgot breakfast this morning.
I got
2
some
cups of
M&Ms.
coffee. Do what?
You got some M&Ms?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Intensity of disruption. How big is their mental disruption at the moment? Individual feelings about the event. You're going to have personal feelings about everything that just went on, just as much as the people that you find. And sometimes sharing those with the people that you come across is an okay thing. That way they're not alone. They don't feel alone with their feelings about what has just happened. Emotional strengths of individuals. Some people emotionally are strong as ox, and they can hide every feeling that they are ever going through, like everything's all right. But sometimes you need to still try to talk to those people to let them know that, hey, I get it. You're not caring right now, but somebody does care, and if you ever want to talk about what you know, let it be known that there's somebody going to be there for them, even if they don't want the help. The length of time since the event, we've talked about this. Some of these effects they might not take place right away, especially with PTSD type things. It could be months, years. PTSD can creep up on you without you ever knowing it. So you yourself can keep up with your own, what's going on with me. But if in a small community here at work, you see people and they start over the years, you remember, hey, we went through this event together, and I see how they're acting. I need to talk to them and see if they're still okay from what's going on. Stabilizing victims. Assess the survivors for injury or shock. We talked about shock. They're probably going to be mentally disoriented. That's one of the things. It's always a good thing to treat for shock. Get uninjured people to help. If you've got people that are there just sitting around, see if these people they're 100% A-okay, see if they can start helping out with people, especially if you're in like a command center where a lot of people are coming in to you've set up a place where people can come crash since their house has been gone, and you've got other people that are okay and they're just there. See if you can get them to help out with the other victims. You want to provide support. Listening to people's stories, listening to what they've been through, letting them talk. Sometimes you might not even have to respond to anything that's being told to you by them, but just sitting there and being an ear for them to feel is what they need. And empathizing, helping them reassure that they're okay. We talked about some people don't feel safe and secure. Help them feel safe and secure if you can. But once again, don't make too many promises. You don't want to make promises that, such and such is somebody they know is safe and alive, when then you might know good and well that person is sitting in the board. You don't want to lie to these people. but still try to give them hope. Help survivors contact with natural support systems. You know, remind people, you know, there's groups out there, there's things out there they can do to help their mental state even after the event's over with. Let them know that there's people out there for them. How to be an empathetic listener. Put yourself in the speaker's shoes. You got to think, some of these people, they've just lost everything. Put yourself in the mindset of, how am I going to be when I lose everything? And while you're listening, just think, you know, how do I want to be treated in a situation like this? Listen for meaning, not just words. You know, sometimes these people, they're gonna go deep, really deep into some stories about what happened to them and what things meant to them. Listen to that and show that you care about that. You're not just listening and bobbing your head like, okay, please shut up anytime, no, okay. Listen and care. You know, these people, letting them know that you care about their story will help calm them tremendously. Pay attention to nonverbal communications. Some people have tics when they're, you know, nervous or upset. Obviously, I have one. I've been sitting here playing with this reminder for 30 minutes. Just pay attention to things like that. You know, that could be a sign that they're about to escalate. You know, and it could be getting angry. We talk about some people, you know, their emotions are going to snap like that. Some things, like people sitting there wadding their hands, you know, they might be getting mad, but they're not saying it. They're talking calm, but they're sitting here like cracking their knuckles or something, and all of a sudden, bam. But no, seeing that, sometimes you can talk to people and talk people into being back at a 10 instead of 100. And paraphrase the speaker. You know, kind of retell them their story a little bit, but in short paraphrase things like, oh, okay, so yeah, I remember when you did that. I remember when you said earlier about this. You know, just kind of, that lets them know that you are listening and you are caring. Avoid saying, I mean, all of these right here are things that first come into your mind when you want to talk to people and see if they're okay. CERT says to avoid them. Sometimes it is unavoidable to say things like this. It's like, I understand. Don't feel bad. People are going to feel bad. You're strong. You'll get through this. Don't cry. You see some kids crying or something. Don't go tell them not to cry. It's okay to cry. Let them cry. Definitely do not tell people it's God's will. That's going to tick some people off. They're going to know. Well, they're going to start doing that blame game. Well, why? If it's God's will, why did they do it to me? They're going to make them angry sometimes. Don't tell them that. Don't say it could be worse. To them right now, this is the worst thing that could happen to them. Don't tell them that there's a possibility it could be worse. At least you still have something. Like, oh, well, at least you still have your health. Don't tell them that. They don't give two craps right now. Don't tell them that. And once again, everything will be okay. That's one thing that you're probably going to still tell people. Everything's going to be okay. Because for some people, that is a calming thing to know that everything's going to be okay. But then some people are not going to believe it. That's why they don't want you to. I want you to stray away from saying everything, because some people are not going to believe you. At that moment in time, nothing is ever going to be okay. And tell them that everything will be okay if I accept that. Managing a death scene. You want to cover the bodies and treat it with respect. You know, how do you want to be treated if your body was found out in the field? You don't want to be poked and prodded. Somebody just cover the body. If you have blankets, t-shirts, something that can, you know, cover the body and be marked that there's a body, cover it. You don't want other people seeing that body. What if that body is a friend of theirs or something? You don't want them to see that and add more trauma to them. Move the body to a temporary morgue. You want to do this as quickly as possible. This helps prevent other people seeing the dead bodies and mentally start freaking out. You know, we talked about how you want the morgue separated from the treatment center, treatment areas. You know, It's the same concept. You don't want people seeing a bunch of dead bodies still laying on the side of the street. You want to get those bodies, you want to move so that people don't realize that there are deaths in this situation. Follow the local laws and protocols. Do you know what the laws are here for dealing with dead bodies? I mean, a lot of people don't.
Archaeologically speaking.
Do it.
Just archaeologically. Like if you find a bunch of bones buried, like I know what the.
Yeah.
Not some
Fresh bodies.
Yeah, I know.
What are
That's
the
something-
laws?
Do what?
What are the laws?
I myself, I'm not really 100% sure. When dealing, now if it was like a crime scene, I can tell you what the laws are. With dealing with that.
Don't touch it.
These are laws that change quite a bit. So, but in a situation like this, cover the body, remove it, document that you've done this. Once again, this goes back to documentation. You want to document everything you've done to kind of cover yourself in case you accidentally broken a law. Because remember we talked about, I think it was day one, we talked about Amanda, what's the law? The Good Samaritan law. Good Samaritan law. You were still covered in the Good Samaritan law even when dealing with the dead body.
I have a question. Up here where it says cover the body, it says wrap mutilated bodies tightly. Why?
You don't want like bodies falling apart.
Or animals.
Or animals.
Animals getting into
Or
it.
dog getting.
Like if you come across a body that, you know, the leg is getting severed, but they're still sitting right there next to each other, you want to keep that all wrapped tight together. You just put a loose blanket over it, you're carrying it, you know, there's a good possibility you're going to start losing some parts or something. You want to make it as sanitary and safe as possible. So, then, yeah. If you're going to be leaving the body at that spot, the reason you want to wrap it up tightly is, once again, like I said, animals. Animals could come in and get into it, and you don't want that to happen. Okay. Talk with your local authorities, people that do know the actual ways to, like talking, you know, like here, go talk to Captain Best or Chief Stafford. They're going to know probably what the actual state laws and stuff are, because I know they're constantly going to legislate and things. Hey, you know, I've only been here for a couple of weeks, so I'm still having faith.
He says I still have faith.
You haven't had time to use
It's a
it.
dead body, your concern is maybe the
We're gonna call it a corner.
That's what he's gonna tell you.
That's not archaeological.
He's gonna call it a corner.
Problem.
What did you say?
That's the archaeological.
Huh?
What did you say you were gonna say?
I thought Mark's gonna be like, don't worry about all those dead bodies, worry about the living people.
We're gonna see those DVDs inside.
What if this is on here?
Oh my goodness.
All right, forming family members of the death. Separate the family and or friends from the rest of the crowd. You know, you don't want to tell somebody, hey, your loved one is in our morgue right in front of the big crowd. They're going to feel embarrassed by that, and they're probably going to emotionally show an emotional outcry at that time. And you don't want them to have to do that in front of a large group of people. Have the person sit down. There's a good possibility when you tell somebody that someone has died, that they could faint. They could literally faint right there on the spot. Have them sit down. That's the safest bet that they're not going to fall and hit their head and cause damage to themselves if they do faint. Make eye contact. When you make eye contact with people, they feel more sincere a lot of times. And they can sense the seriousness of the situation. I'm sorry, but your family member has died. I'm so sorry. Let them know that you are sorry for their loss and that you do feel for them. Let them know that you care, that they have lost somebody. Don't be cold-hearted and be like, hey, your person died, I'm sorry. When you deliver that, hey, I'm sorry, but I hate to tell you, your family member has passed. And also offer your own help, if possible, with the grieving process. And let the family and the friends grieve. Let them cry, let them get together, let them, some people are gonna grieve differently. Some people are gonna sit there and not shed a tear because they're holding back everything. And some people are gonna start bawling like babies right there. Let them do that, let them grieve. Once again, put yourself in their shoes. How do you want to be treated when someone's come to tell you, hey, you've lost your family? All right, unit summary. Rescues may be unpleasant and uncomfortable. Psychological and
Physiological.
Physio-psych, okay.
Physiological.
Big words. The symptoms of your mental state. Make sure you know the symptoms of the trauma, the mental trauma. Take steps to reduce the stress. CISD is one intervention. 4 emotional phases of a disaster. We talked about that with the impact, the inventory, the recovery, or rescue and recovery. Stress affects cognitive health and interreactions. You know, mentalness is going to hinder your health, obviously, and how you react with and interact with people. Stabilize individuals, help them calm down if possible, help them relieve some of that stress, and be an empathetic listener. Once again, no homework since we are going straight on.